Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Three Ghanaians who now reside in Canada traveled to Accompan, St. Elizabeth for the annual Accompan Maroon Festival.
My name is Desmond Opoku. I come from Canada, but originally from Ghana.
And you are?
I'm Kofi Entry. I live in Canada, but I originally come from Ghana.
Philip Boubier Frimpong, live in Canada, but was born in Ghana in Africa.
Okay. Did you come to Jamaica specifically for the Accompan celebrations?
Yes.
Why did you think it was so important for you to be here?
Last year, we were here. Because the reason why, as I said last year, we read it in the book when we were small. And we found out that some of our brethren are here. So when we heard that, we said no matter what, we will come and see them. So last year, we were here, we enjoyed, we give the history of a little history about how Jamaica came, the name Jamaica came, and at the same time, we give a history about some of the ancestors that came here before. So this year, it's very important for us to come and help and build our heritage and our brethren together, because we are one. That's why we came here. Last time we came, we met Mr. Bartley, and we met the Colonel, and now we saw Colonel. Last time we saw Colonel Williams, and now we saw Colonel Curry. So we know Colonel Curry, and we told our brother Braka, he is the one who brought us here, because otherwise we cannot find here. He's very good with us. So we are very happy to join together to celebrate our ancestors' heritage. That's why we're here.
Tribute pours in for the late James Moss Solomon.
Astute, passionate, and industrious. Those were some of the words used by some members of the business sector to describe the late James Moss Solomon. The business stalwart passed away just before 1 this morning at the University Hospital of the West Indies. Prime Minister Andrew Holness took to social media this morning to express his condolences to the family of Mr. Moss Solomon. Mr. Holness said, "Jimmy has left his unmistakable mark in the business community. May his soul rest in peace." Leader of the opposition Mark Golding described the late Jimmy as a true patriot who put his country first and genuinely cared for the poor and vulnerable. He also noted that the former Jamaica Chamber of Commerce president was an active supporter of the Athlone Wing Hostel for Disabled Children at the Sir John Golding Rehab Center. In the meantime, the current president of the chamber, Ian Nita, told our news center today that they are shocked by his passing.
The news really shocked us, and we really, disheartened, because we didn't really expect it. It was a very short illness. We knew he was going in for surgery, but it was an elective surgery, and we hoped he would have pulled through.
Mr. Nita described him as an icon of industry and commerce.
His contribution to Jamaica and the wider Caribbean, because he was a CARICOM man as well. And his contribution to the chamber is remarkable. He has continued to mentor us. I mean, every single president that came after him, he mentored.
Prominent Jamaican businessman Wayne Chen also expressed remorse. Mr. Chen said he was a good man with a big heart who loved his country and worked hard to make it better.
Record high 1,128 new COVID cases in Jamaica, 3 more deaths. For the first time, Jamaica's daily coronavirus infections have crossed the 1,000 mark, with 1,128 new cases recorded over 24 hours up to Wednesday afternoon. This is the highest COVID-19 cases recorded for a one-day period since the onset of the pandemic locally in March 2020. According to the Ministry of Health and Wellness, 3 COVID-19 deaths were recorded on Wednesday, bringing the overall coronavirus death toll in Jamaica to 2,486. Meanwhile, there were 89 recoveries on the day, bringing that tally to 66,236. The newly confirmed COVID-19 cases brought the total number on record for the island to 98,194. Notably, the island recorded a 46.8% positivity rate based on the samples tested on Wednesday. Of the newly confirmed cases, 645 are females, 476 are males, while the sex of 7 people are under investigation. The ages of all COVID-positive individuals range from 2 months to 96 years. The case count was made up of Kingston and St. Andrew 480, St. Catherine 211, St. James 80, St. Elizabeth 66, St. Thomas 56, Manchester 53, Portland 45, St. Anne 38, Clarendon 31, Hanover 24, Trelawney 22, Westmoreland 13 and St. Mary 9. There are 35 moderately ill patients, 23 severely ill patients, and 3 critically ill patients among 4,863 active cases now under observation in Jamaica. A total of 204 COVID-19 patients are now hospitalized locally. St. Elizabeth Police warn against attending Accompan New Year celebrations. The St. Elizabeth Police are warning people against attending an event intended to be held in the Maroon community of Accompan today, as it will be regarded as a breach of the COVID-19 regulations. The police say they are also aware that the event, an annual event, marks the start of the Maroon New Year and is usually attended by hundreds of patrons. However, under Order No. 12 of the existing Disaster Risk Management Act, DRMA, public gatherings are limited to 10 people.
It has come to the attention of the St. Elizabeth Police that members of the Accompan Maroon community are desirous of hosting their annual celebration on January 6, 2022. This celebration is normally attended by a large number of people. The Maroon community is to be reminded that the Disaster Risk Management Act, Order No. 12, which is currently in force and which expires on January 13, prohibits gatherings in public place in excess of 10 persons at a time. It also prohibits hosting of such events. In light of this, we are appealing to members of the public not to attend this celebration, as they are likely to be in contravention of the law and may be prosecuted. The police will be out in their numbers to enforce the laws of Jamaica, and the Maroon community is not exempted.
MP calls for longer sentences for convicted murderers. Member of Parliament for Western Westmoreland, Morland Wilson, is calling for longer sentences for convicted murderers. His call comes amid a spike in murders in the parish, one of the latest being the double murder of 2 brothers who were shot Tuesday morning in the Karawina district in Petersfield in the parish. The dead men have been identified as 43-year-old Dervin and 41-year-old Sheldon Jones, both Masons. Mr. Wilson on Wednesday said that too many criminals are getting off on light sentences.
We have a situation now in our court system where you're charged for one murder, and it's like that one murder is deemed as, unjustified, and the remaining murders are just seen as an add-on. I think that is basically an influence to get persons to continue their action. So once someone who looks at murdering someone, then the follow-up murders will just be an addition. I think that is just an illogical way of looking at how our justice works. The police are doing their part, getting persons, capturing them, submitting the evidence, and then they get off on light sentences. If we look at longer sentence, for example, we have seen where if someone, goes around and slaughter 5, 6 persons, they are basically charged for one of those murders, and the rest they are given life sentence. I think it should be a logical issue where it is a multiplication. So if someone murdered someone and it's 30 years and it's 6 persons, it's 30 times 6. That's how it should work.
GraceKennedy announces COVID-19 vaccination policy fully effective April 29. One of the largest companies in the country, the GraceKennedy Group, has announced requirements for its employees, contractors, and consultants to be vaccinated against COVID-19 or undergo regular PCR testing. The decision was announced by Group CEO and Government Senator Don Webby. The new policy, which is to be phased in, will come into effect on April 29.
The GraceKennedy Group has become the latest entity to go the route of a vaccine or test policy. Details of the draft policy were presented to the team yesterday morning. The new GK COVID-19 vaccination policy becomes effective on January 14. Under the policy, as of January 14, GK team members will be required to disclose their COVID-19 vaccination status to the company. The COVID-19 vaccination requirement then begins to take effect on February 11, 2022. As of that date, all GK employees, contractors, and consultants will be required to be either fully or partially vaccinated against COVID-19. Then, on April 29, 2022, all members will be required to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 or be subject to PCR testing every 2 weeks. If team members, contractors, or consultants opt not to be fully vaccinated by April 29 and choose to take a PCR test instead, the cost of the test will be borne by the individual. Mr. Webby says the timing of the policy and timelines included in the vaccination directive have been carefully considered based on the availability of COVID-19 vaccines in the markets where GK operates around the world and the time required between the first and second dose of some types of vaccines. The policy will apply to all new and existing employees of GK and will also extend to the company's third-party contractors, consultants, and independent contractors. Applications for exemptions from the vaccination directive for medical reasons will be considered. The GraceKennedy Group comprises some 60 subsidiaries and associated companies located across Jamaica, the Caribbean, and in North and Central America and the United Kingdom. The operations span the areas of food processing and distribution, banking and finance, insurance and remittance services, together with an investment in building materials retailing. The decision follows similar policies by Digicel and Caramed.
Prime Minister indicates NIDS will become operational in 2022. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the National Identification System NIDS will be fully operational this year. He was speaking during a tour of the NIDS Card Center at the Post and Telecommunication Department on South Camp Road in Kingston. The facility will be producing the identification cards issued under NIDS.
This is Jamaica's 60th year of independence. And I think it is quite profound that in our 60th year, we will be fully institutionalizing our national identification system. We have had a literal struggle to come to this point where every Jamaican can be guaranteed their identity. And what we are doing here, this investment in the law, in the system, and in the machines to do, is to ensure that every Jamaican can be included and participate in the digital society. In coming here this morning, I left a meeting with one of our large banks, and they are eagerly awaiting NIDS to be fully operational. Because currently, they see the distress that the average Jamaican goes through in trying to get a bank account.
In the meantime, Program Director of NIDS, Warren Vernon, says the NIDS system is about 80% completed. He says technical experts are being recruited to operate the equipment to do, among other things, the verification.
There are several things that we are working on. We are working on infrastructure, we are working on fine-tuning the system itself. The system is somewhere about 80% completed. We just completed a fit gap exercise, and we intend to use the next 4 months to fine-tune the system, to do all of our testing, security testing and so on. We are also using the time to set up pilot enrollment sites across Kingston to facilitate the pilot. We're also in the process of fine-tuning all of the requirements to establish the National Identification and Registration Authority.
Trade unionists calls for sustained lockdowns in response to increased COVID-19 hospitalizations. head of the Union of Clerical, Administrative and Supervisory Employees President, Vincent Morrison, is calling for sustained lockdowns as a response to the increase in COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations. He's blaming what he calls a stop-start for the country's current predicament with the pandemic. This comes as the nation is experiencing a fourth wave of COVID-19 infections. He is also moving away from some trade unions who want to reinstitute of the work from home order.
Mr. Morrison says indiscipline among the population and ignorance are mainly to be blamed for the rate of spread of the virus. He says there's also need for sustained period of lockdowns.
I believe from the national perspective, there's too much stop and start. In terms of government action and government policy, you remember when we had a big improvement and then we had some sort of opening for the entertainment sector, which led to a spike. We need to send a signal to the entire country to the effect that if we're going to lock down, we're going to lock down for a continuous period.
He agrees with the need for a balance of economic needs and measures to contain the virus. But Mr. Morrison says failing to solve the COVID-19 crisis will result in persistent economic hardships. In the meantime, the work-from-home orders for the public sector workers expired on December 31 last year and has not been reinstituted. The measure in place since 2020 has also been enforced by some private companies as part of measures aimed at limiting the spread of COVID-19. President of the Confederation of Trade Unions, Helene Davis-White, says the government should have crafted a response to the fourth wave of COVID-19 infections before lifting the orders.
We believe it is a bad time on the cusp of the fourth wave for the government to be lifting work from home. Bearing in mind that one of the reasons why we went to work from home was the difficulty implementing the protocol specifically with regard to physical distancing. We felt that the government should be looking at how we were dealing with the fourth wave before moving to any notion of lifting the work from home order.
But Mr. Morrison says while several workplaces are ill-equipped to facilitate social distancing, working from home is not the best thing at this time.
Putting aside the work from home arrangement, I don't think is the best thing to do at this time. The government agencies really don't have the space, the physical space to provide the social distancing, etc. But the workplace, the hard industries, cannot work from home, whilst a bank or some financial institution may be able to work from home, in the private sector, of course.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.